Good morning. Welcome to Dr. Shanon Live Show. Thank you for always joining in with me every week. And as you're getting some notifications up and going so that you can join in. So we took last week as a temporary step away to our Healthy Couples Do series. And we're back. We are back this week for Healthy Couples Do. If you missed last week's Intimacy for Life Method webinar, be sure to tune in to all of my social media channels for the replay link. You can find that at Shanon Roberts Counseling on Facebook. I have a private but open Facebook group, Marriage Made Whole, that you can request to be in as I show up every week with tips and encouragement. I have a YouTube channel. You want to go over to Dr. Shanon on YouTube and Shanon Roberts Counseling on Insta. Got them all. But I would love for you to continue to tune in on my podcast, Love Leading with Dr. Shanon. Subscribe so that other people can find the free value, the interesting conversations of all about marriage. Preview next week. I'll be having dropped an interview with one of my favorite pastors here in the Tampa Bay area and his wife. I'm giving tips on encouragement on how they stay healthy in the fast lane that they find themselves in ministry. I love it when couples are willing to show up vulnerable and really be open about their challenges, but their rhythms. And that's why I show up every week as well, talking to you about what healthy couples do, so you not only know what not to do, but what you can do. And so it's the summer. So here we are talking about, all things summer. And let me tell you, we're really having a heat stroke around this United States. Hot in the Tampa Bay area for sure. But what healthy couples do is they vacation together. They vacate. Let's talk about the word vacate. Vacation has a very positive connotation. We think, maybe quiet, serene mountains, cooler kind of cultural destinations. Or we're talking about the feeling of tropics and little umbrella drinks, time kicked back, whatever your preferences are, or maybe that kind of really fun recreational experience. I don't know what you have in mind when I say the word vacation. But then when we talk about the word vacate, which is a form of vacation, it kind of gives a different connotation, that we are getting away from. Instead of focused on where we're going, vacation, when we say vacate, we are focusing on what we need to get away from. And I do think that is both good focuses, but let's just talk the word vacate for a second. To vacate, we're getting away from life, right? So as couples, sometimes we just need to pull away from routines of life, from common environments, routine and monotonous scheduling, common day regularities of stressors. We just need to take a pause and take a deep breath together to renew. I was talking to a couple yesterday, and they were sharing with me about gosh, what really kind of positive experiences they were having. They had just celebrated the 4th of July with extended family, and that went really well. Them and their 2 elementary age children. And then how one was able to pull away and take their children to the other side of their extended family, to experience time with their cousins that they don't get to see very often, so that the other parent was able to have a little bit of a break for themselves, which is also very important, very necessary. But what I wasn't hearing in all of that is that prioritized, intentional, carved in time where they were going to pull away and vacate their lives with just one another. And it doesn't really matter where you go, it's the function and purpose of why you do it. To be able to experience each other in a different kind of capacity than co-laborer in life. Maybe it's just we're also co-communal in rest and peace, right? So I do talk to couples a lot, and they kind of sometimes come in with this badge of kind of honor and pride saying, yeah, we've never left our children. We've always taken our children. They've kind of just fallen into the rhythms of us. And that's admirable, truly, because gosh, I've kind of always from day one with my 3 said I need time away from my children. So I can't even, that kind of just doesn't factor into my equation. Um, but I'm not necessarily thinking that's always a great thing, right? I can go way, way, way into parent developmentally with children of how the value of them having to regulate on occasion away from their primary coworkers actually prepares them well for life, not necessarily not. So, but I'm not here to talk about parenting. I'm here to talk about how that impacts the us. Because if the 2 bookends of life are we started as an us, and if we do a really good job with those children, they do leave and hopefully only boomerang back on occasion. And then it's back to us again. And depending on how many of your children you have and how far spaced out they have, that could be anywhere between 18 and I don't know, 30 years of your life if you don't still go away and enjoy just the us again. So healthy couples see the value in that they somehow figure out how they're going to vacate life for a moment, a hot minute, to just breathe together outside of all of those day in, day out roles and ways that they have to show up in their life. And so sometimes you have to get really creative depending on the stage of life that you're in. And so maybe it is just, an extended day trip. Or maybe it's just a one overnight, dinner where you don't have to go home and you can wake up casually the next morning because you were able to book yourself a room and you have to show back up before lunch. I don't know. And if you get into that regular rhythm, even in the younger chapters of childbearing or busy chapters of career pursuits or whatever comes your way, if you're still getting in a rhythm every single season, now ideally I'd like to see you at least do a retreat quarterly, but a full length vacation annually, ideally. I know sometimes that's really tough. But if you've already got this in your rhythm, it's already in your thought and planning process. And you're saying, well, we don't have family. we don't really have anyone that we can really kind of entrust. Well, I'm going to say find them. Find your non biological family members in your community. Find those other young families that would do that co op switch of weekends. I got your kids this weekend and you get mine 3 weeks from now because it's going to take us that long to get over it. I'm just kidding. Go find them. If not, then start the process now where you're vetting out, some really reliable adults. Listen, there are teachers out there that are looking for summer opportunities of adding to their income. And they're perfect because they already identify knowing and loving children. So ask your school what teachers offer themselves as nanny services in the summer. But get creative enough that you go through the intentionality and the effort to make that happen. Listen, it's exhausting on the front end, making sure you cover all the bases. I remember one time leaving the country on a 10-day like lifetime opportunity that was presented that I was able to go to, Israel and then Turkey and Greece. Now, I was not going to pass that up, but I had 3 kids and it took my family 2 adults to run our household and to get our kids to where they kind of needed to be at the right time, right? So I'm like going, how can if I'm challenged by this, how can I make this happen? And we vetted out a sweet, sweet couple that was without children. And years later, they're still without children. So I don't know if I've ruined them. But whew. So having them over for dinner, letting them kind of be in our milieu, know love and, our children, have our children be familiarized with them. I'm out of the country. I couldn't just get back at the quick drop of a hat. And I had to okay, but I'm a little neurotic, right? But so I, kind of had to type up a little bit of a little manual book. Okay, I'm so embarrassed to even have to admit that, but I did. And it's kind of like the thing that you get when you go into like an Airbnb. Here's your little manual on how to run the household and here's the Wi-Fi system and this is the door code lock. And little Johnny likes juice right before he goes to bed. And little Rebecca, she likes this little lovey, and she kind of likes to be able to have her back rubbed just a little bit. 5 minutes. I mean, right? Just so that when you get away, you can feel like your kids aren't skipping me. So it's a lot of effort on the front end. So worth it once you get there on the back end. You might take a little bit of day just to kind of unwind, to really kind of drop into the of it all, having gotten there, having ran a marathon in order to get there, but it is so worth it. And healthy couples do the effort to make that happen, and they see the value of it and they prioritize it. Because they know that the us needs to vacate from their lives just for a hot minute. So that's what healthy couples do. Welcome to the Dr. Shanon Live Show this week. Be sure to go to my Love Leading podcast if you want to go and do the replay from the NFC for Life webinar if you missed it. And we will see you next week. Thanks for joining in.